You know, when I was a little kid, knitting was fascinating to me. Granted, the most appealing part of it was listening to the sound of needles colliding, but I was also interested in learning the skill itself. I began my training as a small larva and turns out it wasn't for me, which with time I started to be salty about. So when the crocheting became popular, I felt the itching. I wanted at least to give it a try and maybe make a funny hat for myself, but I never got to it. So today I invited someone who just may inspire me, and maybe you, to finally buy needles. Sesu! Hello Sesu, how are you?
You know, I'm doing great today. It's been a wonderful day. Was able to have a good walk. I'm getting ready to have a fun stream later, and just overall, I'm doing fantastic.
Please introduce yourself. I'll prepare some drinks in the meantime.
So, I am Sesu. I am a cozy Gorgon VTuber. Usually when I stream, because I'm also a streamer, usually I stream indie games on Twitch. That's kind of my big niche. But what I also do sometimes is that I'll do hand cam streams, and sometimes I'll do things like building Gunpla, but in the case of today's video, I also hand cam stream doing crochet.
Here you go! It's just a basic green tea, nothing as yummy as your blends, but should be drinkable. So, since we're all set, how does it happen that you decide to do crocheting streams? Also, when did the crocheting journey start for you?
Okay, first of all, I got started on tea from a basic green tea, so do not disregard the amazingness of basic green tea. But yeah, so I started crocheting. If I had to think about where my journey like super began, it would be when I was young. I grew up with my aunt, and my aunt really liked to do crochet. It was her hobby of choice, and I believe that she kind of tried to get me into it, but she got me into it through getting like latch hook projects, which if you've ever seen a latch hook project is very much not crochet. So after I kind of went through college, it came out of college and finally had a disposable income, I was like, all right, let me start this crocheting thing again. So I bought some yarn, I bought a hook, I found this pattern for a hat, which turned out awful. That hat will never see the light of day again. It was about 3 sizes too big, but it was super fun and I really enjoyed it. And then for kind of doing crocheting streams, I've learned that the best way for me to do things is to put additional pressure on myself by streaming it. So I would do crocheting streams to kind of force myself to do the crochet project, but it ended up being kind of fun because I was able to just kind of chat and then crochet.
What would you say was your best project? I heard that you made a bouquet of flowers. Were those real flowers, or was it one of those fantastic decorative tablecloths that look like a bouquet after folding?
Yes, I did make a bouquet of flowers. They were real in the sense of not being like decorative tablecloths. Hold on, let me show a picture. So these were the wedding flowers that I made for my wedding last year. I knew that I wanted to do something crochet because 1, I felt it would be more sentimental to me. 2, have you seen the price of wedding flowers lately? Wild. So I did a lot of research to kind of figure out what kind of crocheted flowers I wanted, because there are so many different ways to make flowers, and I'm not gonna lie, I'm kind of lazy. I want the easiest way to do it.
Aren't we all?
So this bouquet is made out of, I'm going to say 4 different patterns, but it's really 3 patterns and like a pom-pom maker. So We have the roses that basically are crocheted flat and then rolled together to make the rose and held together by a lot of hot glue. We have the lavenders that, again, were crocheted flat and then spiraled around like a floral wire stick to keep the rigidness that it needs. They were kind of modeled after hyacinths, but I don't actually know if I'm saying that right, but they kind of turned into their own thing because I wanted it to look a little pretty, and that used a different pattern in which I made like 25 little crochet flowers and then put them around like a styrofoam, like a foam ball. And then we have the yellow ones, which are the white ones, which are the little pom-poms. There's no pattern there. I just have a pom-pom maker. And then we use like artificial leaves because, I don't know, crochet leaves, they were getting a little annoying. And I actually made crochet leaves for a different part. I made a lot of stuff for my wedding. So I made these flowers. I made my bridesmaids flowers, and then I made the groomsmen and my husband. I made them like boutonnieres, which used crochet leaves there. It's all wonderful and fantastic. I'll find some stuff later to show everyone. But would I say that was my best project? I guess yes. But if I were to think of what is the most sentimental to me, it's actually this project here, which was a blanket that I made for my aunt. So before I went off to college, I went to, most colleges have like their colors, and my colors for my college were kind of a dark red and gray. So before I left for college, my aunt had gifted me with a crocheted blanket, and it was very dear to me. I still have it. I use it very sparingly because I'm like, what if something happens to it? So just to kind of say like, hey, thank you for everything that you've done. You're really precious to me. I made a blanket back for her. It was a crochet along where every day for I think a month, they gave us a different, I'm gonna say granny square, but this is not traditionally a granny square, but they gave us a granny square blanket and blanket pattern for the squares. And so this blanket is made up of about 24 different squares. And then we have the border. It was very nice because I was able to crochet it while watching March Comes In Like a Lion, which I love that show. And then my aunt also very much appreciated it. She still uses it. It does have a little bit of love holes in it from her lovely dog, who I love so much, and also her. And, it's just nice that it's getting used. So, yeah, I would say this is my best project, but my wedding flowers are also really, really good.
What kind of yarn do you use? Is it necessary to use one specific kind of fiber?
Okay, so I generally use, because everything that I've made so far has been for warmth, or just stuff that I've become accustomed to, because again, I usually crochet for warmth. So I very much like wool. Specifically, I like merino wool. I really enjoy using this yarn called, I think the brand is Malabrigo, and they have it in like every single size. It's amazing. But I do think, so I'm working on something right now that is more like a wearable, and it's good for like the summer. And so for this particular project, I'm using a cotton bamboo blend. It's very important to know what kind of fibers you're working with for whatever project you're working on, because, for example, you're not going to want to use wool on something that's supposed to be light. You're not going to want to use like cotton and bamboo on something that's supposed to keep you warm. You're not going to want to use a lot of fibers that can tear apart if you're making something, for example, like for a child or a pet. So it really depends on what you're making is what kind of fiber that you use. I will also say that the type of fiber you use, basically, when it really comes down to it, use what's good for your wallet and use what you like. I know that sometimes there's a lot of arguments around whether, for example, acrylic fiber is good or not, and it kind of comes down to a lot of like classism almost. So you know, at the end of the day, use whatever works for you. Use whatever fits your wallet best. There's really no, okay, there are some wrong choices, but you can work around it, you know.
How about tools and materials? Do you need anything more than a hook to crochet?
Technically, as long as you have a hook and some yarn, you're good to go. Do you need anything else? No. Do you want anything else? Maybe. If I had to... Okay, I don't think I can list this in terms of most important to least important, so I'll just list out what I remember. Stitch markers. Amazing. Wonderful. They will keep your place. They will help you, especially if you have to crochet in the round. I'm really bad at counting, so I use stitch markers all the time. Do you need them? Not particularly. You can kind of fashion out your own stitch marker out of, like, say, a different colored yarn and just kind of tie it on. But stitch markers are nice. There's, like... Okay, so I use these for my crochet. So I use, like, a combination of embroidery scissors because I have them from embroidering. And also, like, I've got these small foldable scissors. They're awesome. Do you need them? No. Are they nice? Yes. Let's see. There's a really, really nice tool that I got recently. And I buy them from a particular company, and it's like, they call themselves like a minder, like a mini minder. And what it is that you can put your yarn on it, and you can, like, hang it from a table or hang it from your arm. Incredibly useful. Do you need it? Not particularly. There's also different tools such as a yarn winder, which is good if you get more of a specialty yarn where it may come in like a hank. I think it may come in a hank. I think also a skein is also a good word for it because they have different words for the different ways that they come in. If you're basically getting anything other than like a ball or like, I don't know what they call like the oval guys, you're probably either gonna want a yarn winder at home to make it easier to work with, or usually if you buy them from a local yarn store, they will usually have a yarn winder that they'll wind for you. Another tool, incredibly, you don't need this, but I find it very neat. Like the little vertical or horizontal like skeins. And basically the way it works is that you have your yarn and you have it like, if it's like in a hank and you have it like completely unwound and kind of put out, and you put it on this, and using that and the winder, it like works together to wind the yarn. It's so cool. It's so cool. You don't need it. It's so expensive. But if you happen to find one at like a specialty store, like maybe like a thrift store, and it's like super cheap, like buy it if you have the space. But otherwise, you don't need it. And then lastly, even the hooks you use can be different. So I learned recently that there are 2 different types of hooks. And kind of what people prefer kind of just depends on what they get first. So there's that. There's different ergonomic hooks if you're like me and you have hand problems. And then lastly, if you decide that you ever want to do like more specialized types of crochet, because there's a general crochet that you use just with the hook that you'll use for most everything. There's also Tunisian crochet that has a longer hook or a hook with like a little cable. I find that that's very interesting because I feel like when I started Tunisian crochet, they had the long hooks and now they just no longer have them. It's a very interesting phenomenon, but otherwise. And then if you're also doing things like, say, broomstick crochet or hairpin crochet, like that uses different tools too that you might need. But again, nothing that you need to start with.
I saw a lot of memes about sharing patterns and people talking about how hard it is sometimes to follow someone else's step-by-step videos. Is this a big issue?
Yes, it kind of ends up being, I feel like the crocheting community argues about a few things, and some of the things that it argues about is patterns and video patterns, and how sometimes people will just give one, in this case, a video pattern, and give no step-by-step, like written out patterns, and it ends up being kind of a problem. Mostly because, okay, the problem with videos is that, one, it's really hard to pause and like follow someone. But that's if you just have a video pattern. I find that if I have a written pattern and then they have a video pattern that like explains a very particular thing to me, that like maybe like some new stitch that they picked up or like a really uncommon used stitch, then that's really nice. But otherwise it's really hard to follow just regular step-by-step videos. Like it's so much easier if you just have a written pattern out for it, which kind of gets a little interesting because a lot of times that people learn crochet is either through watching someone else or through videos, and I found that me personally, I'm really bad at following videos, and I found that I liked GIFs. So I found like this Tumblr crochet gift blog that was really good. So basically what I'm saying is if more people could share written patterns and then just GIF their process, that would be perfect for Sesu.
I also heard that USA and UK have different terms for various things.
Yes, so I had to look this up because I know it and I'm familiar with it, but I was also curious because I was like, okay, what else are they saying that we don't do? So first of all, you will know you have a US pattern and not a UK pattern if they say single crochet or half double, because for some reason those terms just don't exist in UK at all. So it's mostly around the single crochet, the half double, because a single in the UK is actually a double crochet, and then a half double in the US is a half treble crochet, and then a double crochet in the US is a triple crochet, and then a triple crochet in the US is a double treble crochet. And that's just like the regular stuff. So there's also different things around like the front post double crochet, which is really a raised treble front. It gets very confusing. Luckily, 90% of the time when people make a pattern, they will put in their pattern, especially if it's a written pattern, they will put in their pattern, whether, like, if it's a UK terminology or a US terminology. Apparently, another thing that can be a way to tell between UK and the US is how they talk about, like, your crochet hook size, apparently. So the UK tends to use like the millimeter, and the US tends to use like the actual, we use like a lettering system. So they'll generally use like a lettering system, but I don't know. I don't really see that distinction. I feel like both use it. And then there's also like the way they talk about the yarn. So I actually learned this recently because I swear I don't see a difference in this, especially in local yarn shops. So in the US, we use worsted, and in the UK, we use like Aran. I say we, I'm not in the UK. In the UK, they use Aran. But I've seen both in my local yarn shop, so it's basically try your best. Try to make sure that the pattern says either a UK or a US. And if it doesn't, just kind of look for if it has a single crochet or a half double crochet. That's how you know it's a US one. Otherwise, I mean, if you're really like, I really, really don't know Sesu, maybe check out how they spell color.
And where does one look for that patterns? Is it possible to do anything without them?
Where does one look for the patterns? Okay, so for me, I usually like to look at Ravelry. Ravelry is a really good site to find patterns either made by other people. Well, I mean, I guess every pattern is made by someone else, but either made by other people or like published or, you know, made by like indie people. You can also, from what I find, you can also look at Instagram. I've been doing a lot of stuff on Instagram lately, and usually, and by doing, I mean I've been looking at a lot of stuff on Instagram lately. And usually people on Instagram will either have their patterns on Ravelry, they'll maybe have them on their Coffee page or their Etsy. Is it possible to do anything without them? Absolutely. If you are just, I find that it tends to be, if you are very creative and you don't mind trying something new, there's like freehand crochet. But I've also seen people, like there's one person I follow on Instagram that is just very good at clothing making in general. And so a lot of what he makes is just basically freehand crochet, but it's like full outfits and it's amazing and wonderful. So yes, it is possible to do anything you want without a pattern. Is it difficult? Absolutely.
Okay, so overall, is crocheting difficult? Who would you suggest that hobby?
I think that crocheting can be easy, but can have a high floor for difficulty, a high ceiling. I think a high ceiling for difficulty is how I want to say it. But I also find that it really depends on what type of crochet you want to do. And kind of segueing into who would I suggest for crocheting, basically anyone that wants to do something creative. And again, no matter what you want to do, there's probably a crochet style for it. So for example, if you just want to make stuffed animals, you can get into amigurumi, which generally uses mostly single crochet, and then it'll also use like some sort of surface stitching on the top, or like on the top of the finished product or whatever, and we'll usually use like polyfill. Maybe you just want to make scarves and hats. Like, fine, that's perfect. And there's so much room for creativity in making scarves and hats. Like, it's not even just like single crochet, double crochet, like you're done. Like, crochet can do cabling, which is amazing to me. It's a little involved compared to like knitting. I feel like knitting cabling is rather straightforward. Crocheting cabling is not that straightforward, but you can do it and it's awesome. If you want to, I'm trying to think, if you want to make shoes, like you can make shoes out of crocheting. Yeah, I mean, it's literally wherever you want to go, wherever you can find a pattern, or, you know, just try it out yourself, then you can crochet. There are definitely some things when you start that are a little difficult, but I find that once you get them, you're good. I personally think, and this is all like based on a particular person and what they start with, to me, crocheting is easier than knitting. If you ask a knitter, they'll say the opposite. But basically, if you want to try something out, if you want to be creative, if you've got like $10 to buy yarn and a hook, maybe even less if you have a thrift store near you, then try it out. The worst thing that happens is that you hate it and then you never try it again and your wallet is safe from buying yarn every time you go into a store.
That's right, people. Try different things. If crocheting is not for you, maybe knitting will be. Or something else. You won't know until you try. Speaking of knowing, do you know of any unconventional uses of crocheting skills? I saw people weaving bags out of strings made from plastic bags and creating decorations out of rope. I'm sure all those techniques can be used for many more things.
Yeah, so I've seen a lot of very interesting things. Again, there's the hairpin crochet and broomstick lace crochet, which if you've never seen it or seen how it comes out, it's incredibly interesting because it's just, one, it brings a completely different vibe to the crochet, and two, when you think about the history of how these crochet techniques came to be, like, it's very unconventional, very interesting. Like, I mean, broomstick lace is literally like they would use the top of a broomstick to crochet, which is awesome. I've seen people like crocheting with metal, which is just very interesting and amazing in its own right, especially when it comes to like people crocheting metal to make like jewelry. I've also seen recently, I've started to see kind of a boom in fidget toy crochet, which I find incredibly interesting too, because I feel like when it comes to fidget toys, there's both creativity and also just a very small market of the types of fidget crochets that they make, or fidget toys that they make. So I find fidget toy crochet to be incredibly cool and incredibly like creative. You can kind of just do whatever you want, whatever you need for your fidgeting. And I just think that's super neat.
I totally agree. Are there any spaces, both online and in real life, for crocheters? Maybe some yarn swap places or other that could be useful, not only for newbies?
Yes. Online, there's Ravelry. There's space in Instagram where a lot of people, especially when it comes to kind of small business owners and people that just like crocheting, you can find them there. You can find crocheters on Blue Sky. Like, basically, wherever there's a social media hub, you can find crocheters. You can even find people crocheting on Twitch. I mean, obviously, sometimes I do handcam streams, but I watch a few people that crochet and knit, and it's incredibly fun. In terms of IRL, you would be surprised of where you can find places where you can find crocheters. My number one place that I would say to start first is your local library. You would be surprised how many libraries have different activities for people, especially they might have a yarn circle. My local library has a yarn circle, which they do like monthly, and also I haven't been back since my wedding, so I should go back. I find that in some large cities, so for example in Seattle, recently I saw that there's like an actual crochet cafe open where you can go and get some food and crochet and like shop underneath, and I think that's awesome.
That's fun. That's super fun.
There's also like local yarn shops. Usually, okay, I'm not gonna say usually, but a lot of the times in local yarn shops, there's either like classes or there's like gatherings where people can just come and crochet and have fun or knit or whatever, and you can take classes, especially if you're a person that you're like, I want to learn how to crochet, but I need guidance. Usually in your local yarn shops, you can find classes where you can learn how to do these things and, just have someone teach you like, hey, that's right, or no, you have to do it this way. you know. I haven't really found any yarn swap places near me, but again, especially for newbies, if you're looking to get into the craft and you kind of want to save your wallet a little, thrift stores are definitely good. If you have, how do I say, like craft stores, like, I've seen thrift craft stores. Thrift craft stores will also be your best bet for finding like yarn and hooks. But yeah, I haven't really run into any yarn swap places. Honestly, I would love to run into one. I have yarn that I would love to give to someone else because I'm just not going to use it.
Well, thank you, Sesu. It was so nice chatting with you. Please tell the viewers where they can find you.
Sure. You can find me on Twitch at Sesu Rescue. You can find me on Blue Sky, the same, Sesu Rescue. Technically, you can find me on Twitter, but I'm very much not active there. I think I have an Instagram that's like Sesu Rescue BT. I also don't use it. Basically, Twitch, Blue Sky, the best places to find me.
And that was Sesu, ladies and bags. Please go follow them. They're a very talented person and I learned a lot today. Thank you once again. And what about you? Do you feel inspired? If you prefer activities requiring less handwork, check out the crafty playlist. I'm sure you'll find something for yourself there. And as for now, thank you for watching. See you next week!